what they did. Welcome back. We're caught having conversations behind the scenes as regards the situation and voter education. Okay, so we're talking about, or answering the question, if INEC is impaired or challenged as regards getting the right people to carry on this task of educating the public.
Like I said, I don't think they are not empowered to do that or that they are challenged. I think it's about a willpower and a decision. Now, an agency of government, by Section 2 of the Electoral Act, is empowered to educate people on civic. And just as I mentioned concerning the political party, we must take this beyond just voting and bring people into power, electing people, and see it as a duty that enhances the democracy of the nation. Now, if INEC sees that that is what the responsibility is, then their first and primary duty will be to educate. Civic education for the populace, because the more of the knowledge that we are able to have, then our electoral processes will be improved by the year. And we wouldn't, for instance, wait till there is an election coming in before we begin to make changes and make developments and improve our processes and inform Nigerians about the processes. I also think, I also think that INEC needs to do more, for instance, in informing Nigerians about their own internal policies and processes, because this is where people develop the confidence in the agency to be an unbiased umpire. Now, we talked about the Braille, the Braille that we talked about now. Very few of us were informed because there is no connection. There isn't a connection between INEC and the Nigerian people. And I don't think it's about incompetence. I just think it's administrative improvements that we need to have. Perhaps
you think it's not prioritized?
Yes, and I think they need to have some collaborations because there are so many NGOs that need to voter education. So many. I know that INEC can work together with non-governmental organizations and improve voter education.
And do you not also think that the National Orientation Agency also has a role to play in this?
In fact, we can't overemphasize the role of National Orientation Agency in educating Nigeria. That's part of their duty, which is why I said INEC needs to work more on collaboration, not just with NGOs, with all agencies that have to do with responsibility towards educating Nigerians. Don't forget that quite a number of, over 50% of Nigerians are not literate. We have literacy issues. Now, so even we see documents, I've seen documents.
We have literacy issues. This is not about going to school.
It's about reading and writing, the ability to read and to write.
And comprehend.
And comprehend.
But Sholakwe, in the days of yore, at independence, the elections that happened thereafter, there were a lot more people who were not literate, but they still understood the issues.
Yes.
And they were still able to go out and vote.
From
an informed standpoint.
If I may add, you see, unfortunately for us right now, the statutory emphasis is on INEC. But the truth is that the government, as a government, cannot be totally divorced from voter education. Now, when I use the word government, I'm talking about the Ministry of Information and all its parastatals, including the News Agency of Nigeria, including the NOA, all of them. Imagine the impact if all these organs at federal and state levels, even without engaging the NGOs, we are all talking the same thing concerning voter education. Imagine what the impact will be. But right now, as we speak, the only people who appear to even appreciate that there is an issue, maybe because they have a legal responsibility to that, is INEC. And that is a problem. Now, of course, the priority for INEC will be the operational logistics of elections, particularly at this point in time. But where I have my problem with them is elections are not an every month or every week or every year thing. Elections are cyclical. They happen once every 4 years. even for those states where the elections are out of the cycle, it is once every 4 years. So my question is, what stops INEC with its board of almost 40 members having a plan for, we are done, let's say 2019 elections is on the cards now, February, we'll get on with the election. I know that it is not all the departments of INEC that are physically involved in arranging, preparing, and collating and doing all of that. There are some departments that are more or less like redundant during that period, even though they are still in INEC. Now, why can't we engage those ones when these people are going about the operational aspects of the elections? These other people are also going about telling people what to expect, telling people what to do. In fact, there is another aspect of this voter education thing that we're talking about. INEC is empowered to monitor political parties. But to the best of my knowledge, apart from sharing, in quote, those funds that are, will I call it, due to the political parties by reason of their participation statutorily, I have never heard that INEC did any form of monitoring, or at the end of the year, INEC submitted a report, or because of INEC's activities, certain political parties were sanctioned, apart from one half-hearted attempt to deregister certain political parties, which the court had to stop and all of that. You find out that if INEC were to have a systematic way of going about these things, and these things are known to people, then we will find out that we have been able to make some form of progress. Because I believe very strongly that the bulk of the problem we are facing during election period like this is lack of education. People just don't know what to do.
Exactly.
For instance, vote buying. When you see somebody in a polling unit trying to induce people to do a certain thing, what do you do? I have had instances, I'm a lawyer, and I've had instances where people have called me from some very remote, faraway places to tell me, this is what we have experienced, this is what is going on, what can we do? But because of where I am, I cannot do anything. I cannot even ask them to go and report because their safety is an issue.
Exactly.
Now, if INEC has a way of addressing some, in fact, the real problem with this issue I just mentioned now is the safety of the individual. If my safety is not guaranteed, why should I go and report that this fellow sold and bought votes? Why should I do that? My safety is paramount. And if it cannot be guaranteed, whether it is by INEC
but then we have deployment of security personnel in practically all the elections. Is that not enough to guarantee safety?
Well, Mr. Neota, have you ever been in a polling unit?
Yes.
Well, I don't want to say this on national television, but I've been there, and I've seen how it works. And I know that those security agencies, with all due respect to them, they practically do nothing. I use the word practically do nothing. Even when they do something, a phone call will come from somewhere and they will be neutralized. Now that is a problem. But that is the stark reality of what we are facing.
Shalape, what does this say? I mean, because right now, what we've all said here is as though there's a problem of patriotism.
Or a lack of it.
Or a lack of it. Those who are constitutionally mandated to handle educating and informing the populace are not doing it. The ones who are by extension mandated to do it are not doing that, the political parties. The Ministry of Information, a government agency with all its parastatals, appears not to be giving that information as it ought to. National Orientation Agency, that has a responsibility also of informing and educating Nigerians as regards patriotic,
some of these things.
Patriotic activities, their rights and all of that, appear not to be doing this. What does this say about value for the nation?
Yeah, just before you made mention of the word value, I was going to say that the value that